This is the 2019 Mercedes-Benz A-Class, and it's the new entry-level model for the Mercedes-Benz brand here in the United States. They debuted this car back in July, and we've had to be patient, but we finally had the chance to drive it. So today, I'm going to tell you all about it, plus I'm going to give it a rating of buy it, lease it, rent it, or forget it. Let's start out by talking about the styling. Now, obviously, this look is brand new for Mercedes-Benz. You got to tell me what you think down in the comments below, but I actually really like the shark nose design and the clean lines. Mercedes spent a lot of time actually removing body lines from the car to give it a more simple but a more clean design. So tell me what you think, but I think it looks pretty good. Under the hood of the Mercedes-Benz A-Class is a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder that makes 188 horsepower and 220 pound-feet of torque. Now, that power is sent through a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission to your choice of either the front wheels, or it's available with all-wheel drive if you so please. Now, I'm actually pretty happy with this engine. It's not a rocket ship, but it is actually pretty quick. Down here at sea level, it feels plenty fast. Mercedes says it'll do 0 to 60 in about 7 seconds with the all-wheel drive version. We don't have official EPA MPG yet, but I can tell you that in our day of driving around the greater Seattle area, we managed to average around 30 MPG, roughly speaking, although that was mostly highway mileage. All right, let's take a minute to talk about ride and handling, and overall, I have to say it's pretty good. The ride is very comfortable. It's maybe a little bit on the firm side. This A-Class tester that we have today is on 19-inch rims with summer tires, so there's a little bit of road noise, and the ride can be a little bumpy at times, but overall, not a big complaint of mine. And actually, the handling is excellent. It's really fun in some of the twisty roads. We had the opportunity to take it up in the mountains today. The A-Class has 3 different suspension setups available: comfort, lowered comfort, and adaptive. The lowered comfort setup is 15 millimeters lower than the regular suspension and comes standard with the AMG line trim. However, it's no stiffer than the comfort setup, just lower, hence lowered comfort. The adaptive suspension allows for stiffer or softer damping depending on your drive mode. Sport mode is stiffer while comfort mode is softer, like any other adaptive suspension setup. One more thing to note, actually, this has an electric power assisted steering unit, and the feeling, unlike many electric power assisted units, is actually pretty good. The steering weight can be adjusted depending on what drive mode you're in. That plus the throttle response are basically the 2 major things that change with drive modes. In sport mode, the stability control gets a little less aggressive. How utilitarian is the A-Class? Well, the front seat is actually pretty spacious. I have the seat adjusted to roughly where my driver's seat is. I have plenty of room up here, no issues with headroom. It's really comfortable up in the front seat. However, the back seat for someone of my size is a little bit of a different story. Let me show you. Yeah, it's a little cramped back here in the back of the A-Class. I think if you weren't 6'2", you wouldn't have so many issues, but for taller people, it's a little tight. As far as trunk space goes, well, that's a tarp. I guess it's big enough to fit one large car cover. In all seriousness, the A-Class does have a pretty spacious trunk. You could fit a few good-sized suitcases back here, but the curious thing about the trunk is that in Europe, the A-Class comes as a hatchback, and they're not going to be bringing the hatchback here to the US, which for me, a lover of hatchbacks, is a bit of a disappointment because it does make a car that much more practical. That being said, the normal A-Class sedan here still does have a pretty good-sized trunk, and you can fit a good amount of stuff back there. How about technology? Well, the A-Class is actually pretty packed with tech. The big thing you notice right away is this new infotainment system. It's called MBUX, and the A-Class is the first car from Mercedes to receive it in the United States. The Sprinter van was actually the first vehicle to get it, but that's a different story. I think MBUX is a drastic improvement from Mercedes' past infotainment systems. It now features a touchscreen with this little touchpad, plus there's a lot of voice controls, and overall, it's really, really pleasant to use. I think my favorite part of MBUX is the augmented navigation feature, which basically inlays navigation over a front-facing camera shot of the car, and it makes things really easy when you're trying to navigate in a busy city like downtown Seattle. The A-Class also comes with a bunch of driver safety enhancements like forward collision warning, adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist. MBUX is available in 2 different screen configurations. There's a dual 10-inch option or a dual 7-inch option. The dashboard doesn't change with the size of the screens, so the 7-inch displays have more black space around the outside edge of the screen. Time for another round of the good, the bad, and the weird on this 2019 Mercedes-Benz A-Class. Now, the good is that augmented navigation that I was telling you about. It's so cool when you're in a place with heavy traffic like downtown Seattle to be looking at your screen, seeing exactly where you need to be turning. There's addresses being displayed. The whole thing works really well, and it actually helps you to navigate better, especially in somewhere so trafficy as Seattle. Now the bad, I gotta say, the voice recognition system is still not quite there. Sometimes you might be talking about your new Mercedes.
Yes, please.
And it interrupts you when you're in the middle of a sentence when you don't necessarily mean to be asking your Mercedes for anything. Cancel.
What can I do?
Cancel. There we go. Anyways, it's just voice recognition is hard to deal with sometimes, and this one does an okay job. It's just not perfect. Now the weird. I went to go grab for a handle up here, and I noticed that on this side, and in the back, there's no handles in the roof liner, which was a little alarming at first. I talked to Mercedes about this, and basically, because of the sunroof, they couldn't fit the little handles up here where you normally have them, so you just gotta resort to the handle down by your leg. I'm sure you guys are gonna be wondering how much this new A-Class is gonna cost, and so am I, because Mercedes actually hasn't released the official pricing yet. We do know that it's gonna be less expensive than the CLA class, and right now the 2019 CLA class starts at about $34,000. How much less is it gonna be than the CLA? I'm not sure. I can't imagine it's gonna be too much less expensive, but this will be the entry-level car for Mercedes-Benz, which means it's gonna be the least expensive. We do know the car will be going on sale in the first quarter of 2019, so we expect to learn more about pricing as we get closer to that date. While it is the least expensive Mercedes, it should still feel like a Mercedes, right? There are a lot of touches on the interior that help to achieve this. One of my favorite things has to be the turbine-style air vents. They look cool, but they're also cool for pointing the air where you want it. Mission accomplished there. Mercedes did provide the option list for our vehicles that revealed an eye-watering $14,000 worth of options on our fully loaded A-Class. Assuming a starting price in the ballpark of a CLA class, that would mean some of these A-Class sedans were approaching $50,000. Luxury feel was impressive, but I wonder how much of that feeling remains in the base model. Okay, it's time to give the Mercedes-Benz A-Class a rating, and I'm gonna give it a rating of Lease It, and here's why. I actually really like the Mercedes-Benz A-Class. It's really fun to drive, it's comfortable, it's full of tech features. All that said, it seems like you really have to spend a lot in options to get an A-Class with all the cool features that you want to have access to, which is why I say lease it and not buy it. For the Fast Lane Car, I'm Mike Curtis. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please be sure to come back to TFLcar.com for more news, views, and real world, good, bad, weird, buy it, lease it, rent it, or forget it reviews just like this one. Thanks.